Obviously, there's some things going on in the market at the moment which we probably all need to be aware of, but I think it's also a very exciting time as well. That's why I was expecting today the numbers to be higher than we've ever had in the room. So I don't know. I just hope all those people that aren't here are prepared for what's coming, because it is fucking coming. I'll tell you that now. So you'll start to see a change in my language. On the last quarterly, I was talking language like there's probably a high chance it's going to. And the reason why I'm more convinced now is because there's more and more talk of it. And when there's more and more talk of it, guess what happens? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you'll create that very thing. And I'm already seeing it now, even with some of my mastermind. So I'm seeing some people going, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just hold off on that. What is that? It's fear. Yeah, so it's an element of fear. So if that's there at that level, I can pretty much tell you now, most of the world will be sat back waiting for it to happen. And the thing with a recession is, this is the crazy thing about a recession. You don't necessarily need to have one. So if those changes that the government had made, and some, did anyone see my live I did the other day? Raise your hands if you've seen that. Me slating the government. So the government brought out all these benefits in terms of growth to reward people that were hitting a certain level. And I actually thought, wow, we're moving on. We're looking at that growth mentality. It's not kind of just sitting back and going, let's see what happens to us. They're being, what's the word? They're being proactive about it. And then what did they do? They fucking changed it all and went, actually, all them things that we said we were going to give you for growth, actually, we're not. We're pulling them away. Which for me is just, one, it's weak leadership, because they've just felt that pressure from the public. If you're going to be in a role like that and you're leading the country and you're going to feel that peer pressure from the public, you shouldn't be in the fucking role in the first place. Simple as that. Secondly, what they do now by doing that is you're actually speeding up the process, because we're basically going into that closed mindset of let's go into protection rather than growth. And you can only do that for so long. So when they announce a recession, what do you think people do automatically? They stop spending. So you create that very thing just by the day that they announce it. And bearing in mind, guys, I've gone through one of these. So I was already investing before the last recession. So I know exactly what it's like. I've gone through it. And I know what I've done to adjust. I'm a lot more skilled now and knowledgeable to deal with that. But when they announce that, that's when the recession will start officially, because that's when everyone just stops spending and they'll change the behavior. People will clamp up. So you guys need to be at the forefront of this. Really important right now. So I've said this before, guys. There's two sides to that coin. There's two sides of which side of the fence you're on. And some people are going to have very difficult times ahead. Some people are going to go bust. Some people are going to have the houses repossessed. Some people will probably commit suicide due to being in such financial struggles. And some people will make the most money that they've ever made, and it'll be their happiest times. Both of those situations are going to happen, regardless of what you think of it and what you do yourself. Both of those things are going to happen. So I'm a big believer in looking and going, well, how do I get on the right side of the fence with that? So there's certain things that we can look at, and I'm going to get you guys to do an exercise in a bit. But there's things that you want to be looking at. So for those of you that are in a job, how safe is that workplace that you're in? How volatile is that kind of work that you're in? What's the strength of that business that you potentially work for? So we want to be looking at things like that. If it's your own business, then we're going to be looking at how can I protect that? How can I protect my cash flow? How can I defend against people potentially not buying? How can I generate extra revenue? And there's a number of things that we can do. So I released something this morning, and the reason I released it this morning was very specifically for a message for you guys. So who's seen the post I put out today? Okay. Anyone seen the number, what it's up to? It's up to 140 odd people. So what's that just raised in a day? Straight away. 14 grand. That could be the difference, guys, of a business surviving or not. So we were going to do that. That was planned anyway. But I purposely waited until today. So Mastermind were aware of this a few weeks ago. I purposely waited today to make a point that there's ways you can generate revenue within your own economy, okay? Which is what we're going to talk about today, of looking at how can you guys look at what you've got and how can you maximize from that. So how can you protect against things on the outside, and how can you look at making things self-generating, okay? If you've got property of any sort, we're going to be looking at stress testing. So it's something we've covered briefly before, but I want you guys to do it. And what stress testing basically is looking at the point of your portfolio or a property, at what point does it pop and the model no longer works. So what we're basically doing is we'll take some properties, for example, and we go, right, they're bringing in 5 grand for this particular property. Let's say it brings in 5 grand, and the rent was 2 grand. Well, my interest rate's about to go on a variable in 3 months' time, and it's going to hit this particular rate. When it hits that, my margin comes down to X percent, and we want to look at that. So I want you guys to be very clear on at what point does that stop working? When does it stop becoming viable? So how high does that interest rate have to go to, or how much voids do you have to have in order for that to go back into negative cash flow?